Welcome to the Pigskin Party Podcast, the only podcast that combines real NFL analysis with a splash of pop culture and a dash of the random. Let's get this Pigskin Party started with your hosts, Brian McFadden, Will Southard, and Tommy Yu.
Welcome, everybody, to the PPP presented by Draftkings. My name is Brian. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening or maybe watching live, and tell a friend. That's how we grow this Pigskin Party. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Will Southard, and back this week, Tommy Yu. Tommy, are you refreshed? You took a bye week. How you feeling, man?
Hey, we got the whole crew back now. This is just going to be fun, and hopefully people still remember me. I did take a little sabbatical, but I am back, and hey, I'm pretty excited to talk football with y'all. And hey, we're kind of live too, so we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, speaking of, I think we're live. This is our first time trying to go live, so we might be pretending like we're talking to people live, and and it's just not working. Will, how are you feeling? Are you ready to go one more week in the NFL?
Bro, so I got a little early start on Black Friday, and Ethereum's
it's not even Halloween.
Pretty good lately. Listen. Ethereum's been doing. I upgraded my setup. I bought an 85-inch 4K TV for the living room.
Wall.
For Red Zone.
That's a wall of a screen.
85 inches. I make bad financial choices, but I'm gonna have a really good time for a long time watching that monstrosity. So I'm doing good. I had a bad week in the fantasy footballs. I had a bad week, so I needed it.
Watch the Eagles disappoint you on a bigger screen. It's going to be great.
More like he gets to see Brady and AB and Gronk just in life size, and it's going to need to clean his living room afterwards.
I want to see every sexy whisker on Tom Brady's.
Speaking of financial decisions that you make, you bought a whole bunch of hats. We have only seen your construction trends hat this season, if I recall. Where are the other hats? You promised us hats, man.
What are you talking about? I do have another hat.
Another? I thought you got like a whole bunch. One more hat?
Bro, I brought like 5 hats how many stupid hats at one time qualifies as a bunch? I feel like 5 qualifies. There's a non-zero amount of money spent on ridiculous hats that I now have to give away. Speaking of giveaway, I gave you away your Dolphins coaster from the.
I did. I should have thought to have it with me. It's downstairs. It is now my game day coaster. It's beautiful. Great job. Will, with writing the poem and now doing artwork for the coaster, like, where's this side of you been your whole life?
What are you talking?
Okay.
It's always been there, bro, but we just, you had to move to New York, and then we could have been famous rock stars, as everybody would know if they knew us, but you had to
Instead,
move to
we're
New York.
famous NFL podcasters. That's not a bad consolation prize.
Yes.
Before we continue, and by the way, we have decided we're going to communicate with Anthony strictly on sound drops now. So before we continue, Anthony, you can do the da-da or the want-wall. Are we actually broadcasting live on YouTube, or did we screw it up?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So, okay. That's a
nice.
no. So, okay. Maybe by next week we will figure out how to actually do this. Or maybe for the flavor of the week, we'll do it. We will see. We have a special guest. In-N-Out cameo from Will's daughter.
She needs to go to bed. She is out of bed and running wild.
That's right. And you're in the middle of the show, so you can do nothing about it. Hopefully the house is still hasn't been burned down when we are done with the show. Before we jump in, quick reminder, we are a proud part of the Pigskin Podcast Network. Check out all the other great NFL podcasts, pigskinpodcastnetwork.com.
Anthony's gone rogue. I love it.
Are you trashing our podcast
He's
network?
like, shut up, man. I'm the captain now.
Our friends at TPPN, apparently Anthony doesn't approve. We apologize if you're listening. And check out our sponsor at Draftkings. All right, so as we've been doing on the main NFL episode each week, we are going to recap all of the weeks. Oh, yeah, all right. Okay, week 6 games. Anthony's like, screw it, I'm just going to have some fun here. Preview all the... That didn't sound like a sound effect. Are you injured, Anthony? Are you okay? All we can see is a logo. Oh, that was okay.
Knocking some crap over
She's still running rampant. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna preview the Week 7 games, make our picks, and of course, Will and I will do our daily fantasy hires and flyers. And make sure to stay tuned. Tomorrow we'll drop. What is going on? I told Anthony to be liberal with the sound drops, and he took that to mean I'm just gonna randomly and inappropriately insert drops in the middle of me talking.
You put this on me. Anthony's just so excited I'm back, and he's like, "Let's go nuts."
Anthony went so liberal. Bernie Sanders is nervous.
I think Anthony is trying to get fired so he can go to Tommy's Fantasy Island because we all want to visit there. I don't blame him.
Oh, it's beautiful there. I got a hammock and everything.
All right, so let's just go, dude. Let's talk about some games. Let's jump into the games because this thing is unsurprisingly already gone off the rails. It's a good thing this isn't live because I think our 3 people who would have been listening would have already tuned out. All right, let's start with the Thursday night game from last Thursday. Seems like 3 weeks ago at this point. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 28, Philadelphia Eagles 22. The Eagles covered the spread, Tommy. So moral victory there. Tom Brady just under 300 yards passing. Antonio Brown with 93 yards receiving, another solid game for him. Leonard Fournette, 81 yards rushing. He had a really good game. I'm going to turn it to you, Tommy. What are your thoughts? As an Eagles fan, try to be as unbiased as possible, or don't. Just let the emotions fly.
I don't know. I feel like if I'm Tampa, I'm a little disappointed how the game ended because they were thoroughly dominating the Eagles the entire game, but the final box score, or I guess just the score in general, made it seem like it was closer, which it was not. And I was telling you guys before the show started, as a true Eagles fan, I want us to lose out because I am cut from the cloth thinking, if we don't have a shot at the Super Bowl, I don't care about moral victories. I don't want to make it to the playoffs. I don't want a deep playoff run. It's all meaningless to me because I want the hardware at the end of the year. And obviously, the Eagles have no shot at that. So might as well, I'm not saying deliberately tank. Hopefully, our players develop the young guys that we want. But for the most part, as soon as Brandon Graham went down and injuries continued to unravel us, I was like, all right, well, this season's over. We have hopefully 3 first-round picks. Let me watch some college football. And while I was watching the Buccaneers, it kind of went exactly how I thought. But I think the biggest takeaway for me is, as Will has helped me understand, Tampa Bay does not have a good secondary. And B, Jalen Hurts looked like booty cheeks. I was hoping he would at least make Devontae Smith look like a star. Unfortunately not. I went to go back and look some of the clip, and Devontae Smith is open on a lot of routes, so I could only imagine how frustrated he is as a rookie because he's not going to go into, practice and be like, bro, I was open like all last week, like throw me the ball. But I don't know. I'm losing a little bit of hope of Jalen Hurts. I have a little bit more patience in him. More than the consensus, but after what I saw against Tampa Bay's weak secondary, I was very concerned. I'm not red alert yet, but I am concerned.
That's about as weak of a secondary as you could ever face, ever. But very, very strong, defensive line, and linebacker play. So it's kind of a weird mismatch.
Oh, mismatch. I like that.
Mismatch. Whatever the word is for putting stuff together that is weird. But yeah, I mean, kind of the same. I mean, more of same trends. Like Fournette is kind of emerging, or has emerged as the leader in that backfield for sure. Antonio Brown is the third wide receiver, but he's the number one wide receiver. I think it's a big question for Tampa though. Is can that secondary get healthy, right? And then for Philly, you've always got Gardner Minshew just waiting in the wings.
One thing, I've said this to you separately in a chat, Tommy. I'm not sure that Sirianni is certainly not putting Hurts in the best spot. I mean, they're not trying to run the ball at all. I get it. Tampa Bay is the best run defense in the NFL, but when they finally gave Miles Sanders the ball late in the game, guys popping off 20-yard runs. The few times they've used him, they've gone certain games where he's had 3 or 4 carries the whole game, even when it's close. You want to set up essentially a rookie quarterback to succeed, you set up the run game, establish the run, get him some nice, easy plays. And it's hard to tell if it's all on Hurts or if Sirianni is just setting him up to fail. We will see. Let's move on to my team also losing. Tommy, we can join in the misery here. My misery is worse. At least you lost to the defending Super Bowl champs. My Dolphins went all the way to London only to lose to the Jacksonville freaking Jaguars. Not only their first victory this season, not only their first victory under Urban Meyer, their first victory since week 1 of 2020.
Yeah, that was real bad. That was real bad. Who called
it? You
it,
did.
though?
Yeah, Will, this is the... I looked, by the way, and I didn't realize this at the time. Literally the only pick you and I did differently was this game. So you once again gained on me in the picks because you decided to pick Jacksonville. Every other game, we picked identical. I don't have a lot to say about this other than we have a segment coming up in Flavor of the Week this week that's all about what we got wrong. And you know what? I got the Dolphins wrong. I may not have picked them for the playoffs, but I picked them to be close and contending. And clearly, this is just a bad football team.
Well, you picked Jalen. You picked Tua.
I did. Well,
but there's more than that, though. There's more than we'll get into the Dolphins later. But I mean, there's more there. They're worse than they should.
I'll say this one thing about Tua, and he has not been gangbusters by any means, but he was not the reason we lost this game. He did have one really bad interception, poorly timed, but otherwise, he actually played really well. He had over 300 passing yards, couple touchdowns to Jalen Waddle. He threw some really nice balls over linebackers, in the middle of coverage, made some great reads. I think I mentioned this to you, Will. He's more on I'm thinking he might be more like a mid-level kind of Andy Dalton replacement level quarterback. And the problem is, in today's NFL, that's not going to get you anywhere. So let's move on to Andy Dalton's current team. Green Bay Packers 24, Chicago 14. The big news here is Chicago sold the team to Aaron Rodgers, who apparently owns them. Or at least he told the fans that in a very vivid video.
I don't understand. Like, help me. Why does he hate the Bears? Because I also saw the other video where they asked him, like, what team will you never play for? And he was like, the Bears. It just ain't happening. Like, I know it's a thing, right, between the franchises. But why specifically does Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I don't know the context of that question of what team will you never play for, and him saying the Bears. But for the clip that we're talking about that went viral, that I absolutely loved. Like, I was obsessed with it. And I heard that some lady was flipping him off in the end zone, and so he
double
was
bird, apparently.
What? Yeah, double bird, and he was like, "I own you, Chicago. I still." And I was just like, I could see that, but of course, kind of what you're asking. Well, I feel like it is that historic rivalry. There is no other rivalry that is as big as Packers and Bears, or at least historically. And I really feel like Aaron's leaning into that. But it's
literally the oldest, right? It's the oldest rivalry in the NFL.
It is. It is the oldest. People can say, oh, well, this other rivalry is more fun to watch now. I mean, you could be right, but there's nothing more historic. It means more to the NFL. And I feel like Aaron Rodgers is definitely leaning into that. But as far as the clip where he kind of gave the belt and then was screaming that I still own you, I mean, say what you will, but people were even joking like, oh, you can't taunt players, so taunt the... I mean, it's good for the NFL. We're talking about... I was smiling when it was happening. Dude, I love... It's so funny because he's so zen hippie when he goes at McAfee, and then during the game he's like, oh, yeah, suck it! And he's doing all this stuff. It's the best.
It's the best. Speaking of suck it, I know you guys have seen the snap, right? The Aaron Rodgers suck it snap. You know what I'm talking about?
Suck it snap? No.
Oh. You haven't seen that? You haven't heard about that? So it was
picturing
during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
No, it was during the Super Bowl when he was dating who did he used to date? Olivia Munn. And there's a leaked snap.
He has a good roster of exes.
Literally his dingus and Olivia Munn, and the caption is "Suck it." If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it.
I'd rather not. Okay, yes, let's definitely move on. Cincinnati Bengals talk about another one of our fandom that just suffered misery. Cincinnati Bengals put it on the Detroit Lions 34-11. Joe Burrow, another efficient performance, 271 yards. Jamar Chase just completely made us forget that apparently he couldn't catch in the preseason and he was a bust. No, that was preseason.
He was just getting all the drops out of the way.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. He was just like, all right, I gotta.
I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I saw that he is on pace for a historical rookie season, similar to Randy Moss's rookie season, which was like gangbusters. So if this keeps up, clearly Cincinnati made the right choice with him over Penei Sewell at 5.
He only had 4 catches and 6 targets, so it's not like the thing about him.
97
though,
yards with those 4. I mean,
It's the deep ball. It's the deep ball from Burrow that just kills everybody. Like, he's the deep ball. I think, and you got to check me on, I think he's the deep ball leading receiver in the league.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, that's one thing that I saw with Jamar Chase when he was in LSU. Like, he's not absurdly fast. Like, I'm not saying he's slow by any means, but for some reason when he runs the 9 route, I don't know what he does, but he gets weirdly a lot of separation for someone who doesn't run a 4-3 kind of thing, and he just unbelievable concentration with it. So I don't know what it is, but kind of like what you were saying, Brian. When Burrow is launching it, I'm yeah, he's definitely throwing it to Chase, and I guarantee Chase has 2 yards of separation at least.
Indianapolis Colts 31, Houston 3. I was questioning the line on this. The spread was 10 points, I think 10.5, somewhere in there, because Indy just hasn't played to that level. They played the Ravens tough, but they haven't shown that they could beat up on a Houston team that has been a little frisky. It nearly beat the Patriots last week. But Davis Mills, coming off the best rookie game for a rookie quarterback this season last week, completely fell apart this week. 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, and Jonathan Taylor, 145 yards. Carson Wentz threw a deep ball, had the deep ball going, and this was just a domination.
Jonathan Taylor looked amazing. Looked really good. T.Y. Hilton, leading receiver, coming back. Devontae Adams, T.Y. Hilton, level of...
That's a stretch, but hey, he brings another element to this offense.
It killed Pittman, though.
If he can stay healthy, this really maybe having that dynamic of a true number one receiver and what Hilton can do when he's healthy, maybe that makes a difference. Or maybe they were just playing the Texans, and the Texans are just whatever magic pixie dust they did to beat the Jags in week 1 and have played competitive in other games, maybe it's gone. But I don't want to talk about this game anymore. So let's move on to the Rams. Another drubbing. There were some big victories this week. We've seen a lot of close games, but there was just some beatdowns. 38-11. Feels like it was a bigger margin of victory even than that.
Danny Dud made a comeback.
Is definitely being Danny Dud again. Stafford had 4 touchdowns, 250 yards. Cooper Kupp, 2 more touchdowns. I think he's up to 7, is it? 6, 7, something like that. Leading the NFL with receiving touch.
Absurd target share. 37% target share in that offense. It's ridiculous. And the other thing I would like to point out, I don't feel like Daryl Henderson gets respect as a running back in the pass game that he deserves. Dude looked really, really good in that game. The Giants are a mess. I don't really want to talk about the Giants. Gettleman reported today, though, I don't know if you guys heard that the front office is getting pretty frustrated with him, and this may be the last year for...
Should have been the last year 2 or 3 years ago. He has definitely outstayed his welcome.
Now they're now we're getting frustrated.
Yeah,
everything before him we're fine, but now we draw the line. So I don't know what he must have done, but if I'm a Giants fan, I'm smiling.
Kansas City. So we made a second bet with Jeff Schesser last week that if Kansas City lost to Washington, he'd have to come on and read a different poem. I believe it was a different poem, but they didn't. Although they were losing at halftime. Patrick Mahomes threw the worst interception maybe of the season for any quarterback, certainly the worst of his career. But then they came back, they bounced back, they looked more like the normal Chiefs. Mahomes finished with 397 yards passing, 31-13 final score.
My buddy is a big football team fan. He was like, uh-oh, now Mahomes is going to go into the locker room pissed at halftime. Watch. I'm like, bro, they're 2-3. How much more pisser does he need to be to play well?
Did you say pister? Pister. Okay.
Oh, yeah, pister. That means more pissed than before.
Well,
can we agree? The Chiefs are not the Chiefs of old. The decision making that's there in Mahomes. I wonder, and the Chiefs will be fine, I'm sure. But I wonder a little bit. I don't remember Mahomes having to face this kind of adversity, right? Where they have just kind of been bad for a few weeks, and his mojo's off. They're really kind of dejected. There was some infighting a little bit.
He's already thrown more interceptions than he did all of last season through 6 weeks.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be a real test for him, on his resolve, to come back from this. I'm sure he will, but Chiefs are not a very good football team.
They got Daryl Williams involved, a couple touchdowns. If they can get the run game involved,
he looked good.
That'll be a bonus to them. Minnesota 34, Carolina 28 in overtime. Minnesota had control of.
Wait, hang on. Before you go to that game, do you remember the game that Travis Kelce got really mad and threw the flag? Do you remember? You know what I'm talking about? The yellow penalty flag.
Threw it.
Look it up on. You guys have never seen that? Yeah, look that up on YouTube. That's an amazing highlight. All right, I'm sorry. Now move on.
Fair enough. Okay, Minnesota Vikings 34, Carolina Panthers 28 in overtime. As I started to say, Minnesota had control of this game throughout, and then somehow let the Panthers in it right at the end. Cousins with another statistically good game, 373 yards. Dalvin Cook really helped them in overtime to get in position to throw the KJ Osborne touchdown. Thielen had over 100 yards. Anything to add to this game? It looked like the Panthers we saw in the first 3 weeks are clearly gone. The defense is still pretty solid, but Darnold has completely turned around without McCaffrey. Do we think it's just that, or do we think this was the first 3 weeks were just a blip, and even with McCaffrey, Darnold's not going to be good this year?
Yeah, no, I'll jump in. Like, when Carolina was doing what Carolina was doing in the beginning of the season, it's not that I didn't think that they were real, but I had the same thoughts of, like, how Denver was doing when they were undefeated. I was like, oh, that's great. They're playing the schedule that they've been giving very well. But and this is coming from an Eagles fan, if I see Carolina on my schedule, I'm not, like, trembling in my knees thinking, oh, my goodness, this is a game. But once again, this is a weird way of me avoiding your question, right? Like, Sam Darnold, what really is he? He had some games where he's excellent. There are other games where he is the Jets Sam Darnold. And I think the truth is more in between. I don't think he's as bad as he's been showing, and he's not as great as when people are joking around saying, oh, it's Sam Cam Darnold. That's what he's doing. He can run. He can do everything. So I feel like he's definitely talented enough. But right now, their game plan without Christian McCaffrey is just, all right, Darnold, take the ball and find wherever DJ Moore is and just do that over and over and over again. Hope that it works, and then our defense will bail you out. And for right now, I think the team is fine, but I think if you were even to just look at the roster, it just doesn't have what it takes to compete with the upper echelon of, like, what the NFL has to offer. But that doesn't mean they're a bad team. I think they're a pretty complete team. They're running the team fine, but once again, they still need a little more pieces, at least in my opinion. And they did play Minnesota pretty well, too, so I feel like that's still great. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, a loss is still a loss.
I mean, I think they're getting nothing out of Robbie Anderson, right? And, like, they used to, but like less than nothing. I mean, he's not even a factor at all. It's pretty much all running through DJ Moore. And Chuba Hubbard, to his credit, looks pretty good. But, like, they have no offensive playmakers outside of Moore, right? So, it's not like they're the Bucs, right? And so it's kind of, without McCaffrey in that lineup, they're just not going to be able to boat race teams, and they're scoring points. That's the other thing is, I mean, they don't look that bad, but I mean, Darnold either needs to play exceptionally well, or they're going to lose. Like, especially with some of the injuries that they've had on the defensive side of the ball. But for the Vikings, man, people were starting to forget about Adam Thielen for a while with Justin Jefferson, and then Dalvin Cook was hurt. Resurgent game, like, Thielen's as good as ever. Justin Jefferson is dominant as ever. Dalvin Cook looked amazing, 140 yards. Like they should be dominant, right? Like, the Vikings should be amazing with that offense. Like, that's incredible. I mean, I think, and this is just being very objective, if you take the top two wide receivers plus the running back, and you think of the Bucs as having all these weapons, like, the Vikings is better, right? Like, I don't know if there's another team in the league that I would take over Thielen, Jefferson, and Dalvin.
And even the way KJ Osborne has come on as that third wide receiver, scored the game-winning touchdown, the walk-off touchdown in overtime. Yeah. I picked the Vikings to make the playoffs in our preseason predictions. It was looking pretty bad at the start of the season, at least looking a little bit better now. They're 3-3. They do have a rough schedule coming up. They have a bye next week, and after that, I believe they have to play the Packers, and they have a rough 3 or 4 games right after that. So we will really see what Minnesota is, what team they are in the coming weeks. Talk about what team they are. I thought that the Chargers, I thought this would be a great game. I thought the Chargers would come out on top. Herbert has just looked amazing every single game this season. It didn't look like anybody could stop him. Well, guess what? The Ravens stopped him 34-6. I watched this entire game. Herbert just looked off, not just as far as pressure, but actually inaccurate, missing some passes, making bad decisions. Now, some of these were due to there were multiple fourth downs they went for and didn't get that really set up the Ravens in good field position, but that's not the reason for this big of a discrepancy. And the Ravens didn't necessarily play amazing on offense. They were just efficient. They ran the ball better than I think they have all season. They controlled the clock, but it was more of the defense. This defense really pressured Herbert, made him make bad decisions, bad passes, inaccurate passes. He looked rattled, really maybe for the first time of his career. Tommy, did you get to see any of this game?
Yeah, as the listeners may or may not know, I have been a big Ravens supporter. I think I planted my flag with this team. And
apparently you have something against Air Bear, so this was an interesting matchup.
Yeah, this was interesting. I definitely thought that the Chargers were going to put up more of a fight, and I feel like I'm disrespecting the Chargers when I say that, but I feel like that's not a poor thing to say after the fact. I thought it was going to be more competitive, but unfortunately I wasn't here for last week's show, so I kind of tweeted out who I was going to pick, and that was the game I kept flip-flopping, but at the end of the day I said, no, I'm going to go with Lamar. He is, in my opinion, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, whether you guys want to hear that or not, but when I was watching it, I thought the same exact thing. I thought Harbaugh and that Baltimore offense did exactly what they wanted to do. They kind of forced the Chargers to play the way that the Ravens want to play. People used to say Baltimore can't, they can't come back from a lead. They have to play with the lead, and obviously they disproved that by that monumental comeback that they had earlier this season. But when they do have the lead, I mean, good luck. They're just going to churn out 3-4 yard runs over and over and milk the clock. So I feel like a lot of the confusion and inaccuracies from Herbert also had to be the fact that they're playing from behind, which sounds weird because they're a team that's built to play from behind. But it also had to be from the fact that they had to literally make each play count and each possession count because they knew if they gave Baltimore the ball back, not only would they maybe give up points, but they would definitely lose a lot of the clock. So at the end of the day, when I was watching this, I saw this more as the Chargers versus Baltimore and the clock. And just the way that Baltimore played them was kind of beautiful to see. So now I'm kind of interested to see if other teams will watch this and say, hey, they might have figured something out against Herbert, which I don't think is the case. I know I was low on Herbert than others, but maybe that's a spoiler alert on what we talk about, the flavor of the week. I definitely was wrong on that, but I think this is more of an anomaly than the case of saying, hey, they figured something out. But it was definitely eye-opening for me, especially the Baltimore defense that you brought up, Brian.
Here's one thing I want to monitor going forward with regards to the Chargers. So they now have the 32nd ranked run defense. They're giving up like 5, 6, 7 yards of carry to most of these teams. You talked about them playing from behind. From an offensive standpoint, they may be built to play from behind. But if you can't stop the run when you are losing, you can't get the ball back. And if you're talking about some of these teams that run well, that are going to be playoff teams, the Browns, the Ravens, the Titans, how are you going to...
The Browns? Dude, I got news for you. The Brown stock just went full.
We will get to
what's that? Not Barry Manilow. Who is that? Who's that company? Enron. The Brown stock just went straight Enron.
First of all, bro. Barry Manilow, the singer, versus Enron, the energy company. Like, where did that?
No. Who is the guy?
Bernie Madoff. Okay,
Bernie.
Barry. We went.
Barry Manilow and Bernie
all over
Madoff
the place.
We
went from. Barry Manilow, the singer.
Listen, the moral of the story is
Enron,
the Browns
the
are now
energy
a bad
company,
team.
And now we're at Bernie Madoff, the pyramid scheme, Ponzi scheme guy. Wow, the Browns are bad.
The Browns are
well,
bad.
My point
That's
is
what I
the
was going
Browns.
for.
It's mainly injury related. Let's go ahead and jump into those. Oh, one quick fun fact, tying into that run defense. If you're an NFL running back, a little bit older in age and facing retirement, why don't you go to the Ravens and score a touchdown? Devontae Freeman, Latavius Murray, and Le'Veon Bell all scored touchdowns, rushing touchdowns.
That's because I played Lamar. That's the thing. If you play Lamar, he will straight bone you by giving garbage vulture touchdowns to unknown running
So let's talk.
All right, and then they got up so much he didn't have to do anything.
Let's talk about
But hang on, before we move on, here's the thing. Mark Andrews is back. Like for fantasy purposes, he's basically on par with like how Travis Kelce's playing right now. but there's a couple $1,000 difference between the two. Like Mark Andrews looks great in that offense, and Bateman. I mean, I took a stab on Bateman. I mean, he hasn't had a huge game, but like it was his first game.
He had 4 catches.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, he looked not bad, right? Like if that offense can get some tools and the defense can get healthy,
almost like Lamar is a good quarterback.
Push.
It's crazy.
Oh, stop
he is
it.
MVP candidate.
Did you hear last week on the episode when we talked about all the good quarterbacks and nobody brought up Lamar, and then I had to like just bring it home at the end?
Of course, that's why I'm going to keep defending. I feel like all of us are on the same page with Lamar, but I'm just going to keep speaking it into existence until everyone's like, Tommy, shut up, we agree with you. Because I don't think we're there yet.
Just listen to the guy who has obvious bong smoke rising from.
Oh, it's my little incense over here.
It could have been a bong. Nope.
It sure is sandalwood. It's super Asian. Look at this. Get.
Fair enough. Oh, look at the Asian symbols. It
With
has
an Asian guy. This is not a sponsor.
Concept. What a concept. Asian symbols for an Asian guy. He's going to bring the incense to the island with him, and he's just going to chill.
Sure
okay.
Is.
Let's go to the Bernie Madoff-led Browns. Not sure how that's a connection, but they were certainly bad. Whether or not they're bad, but they were bad this week. 37-14, destroyed by the Arizona Cardinals. I'm done doubting Arizona. That's another teaser for what we're going to talk about in the flavor of the week. Baker Mayfield landed on his shoulder really badly. Apparently, he already had a fully torn labrum. That just came out, but he's still planning to play on Thursday's game. Kyler's still looking fantastic. They didn't have Cliff Kingsbury because he got COVID. They didn't have Rodney Hudson. They didn't have Chandler Jones, and none of that mattered. It wasn't even close. Arizona dominated this game from the start. One of Cleveland's touchdowns was a Hail Mary. So it was essentially 37-7. That Donovan Peoples-Jones scored a touchdown at the end of the first half. Otherwise, this is a 30-point victory.
I mean, the Browns
That's
are
the
really
thing.
beat up.
Yeah.
The Browns are just really, really beat up. So, okay. I mean, outside of Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb has already been ruled out for this week. They didn't have Nick Chubb. They had Kareem Hunt. Now
he's on injured reserve, too.
I mean, the
Landry
next
is out.
Carry, Baker Mayfield had
They were without both of their tackles.
D'Ernest Johnson had a carry, and Anthony Schwartz has a carry. We might see Anthony Schwartz play like Corduroy Patterson.
There is only one Corduroy.
Curtis Samuel. I don't know what the Browns are going to do to move the ball, but it's not going to be pretty this week.
Let's go ahead and move on to the team that they are playing next week, the Denver Broncos. When I say next week, it's just by the time this airs, it's tomorrow. That's the Thursday night game this week. The Denver Broncos, who I very much thought at home would take advantage of a Raiders team that just lost their head coach in a very scandalous way. But I was wrong. These Raiders came pumped. They came to play 34-24, but the game didn't feel that close. Derek Carr found his magic again that he had through the first few games of the season. 341 yards passing. Henry Ruggs had a great deep ball touchdown. Josh Jacobs, 53 yards and a touchdown. This was just the Raiders just having their way with the Broncos and great pass rush. Max Crosby had 3 sacks. Any insight into this game, guys? I know, Tommy, you're the only one of us that picked the Raiders to win this, so why don't you give us your thinking on that?
Yeah, this was kind of the opposite of that Baltimore and Los Angeles Chargers game. This one was the easiest pick for me. To me, I guess I was drinking too much of the Kool-Aid. I said, well, there's normally whenever there's any kind of crazy drama happening in a locker room, the players just want to shut up the noise by just playing their guts out. And so when I saw that, well, even if this didn't happen, I just think that the Raiders are a much better team than the Broncos, which I feel like is still blowing people's. I don't know why. Maybe it's me. I just don't believe in Denver, and I never have. And this isn't me taking a victory lap by any means. They are. That's
another team that has suffered a lot of injuries.
That's fair.
So,
that's very fair. But even before this whole crazy drama thing, if it was just if this happened at the beginning of the season when Broncos were just going out of control and undefeated, I would still pick the Raiders. But yeah, when I was watching the game, I kind of said, I was like, well, this went exactly how I went. And when I was listening to the podcast and you guys all picked Denver, I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to get an extra lead on these guys. This is great. But for me, it didn't surprise me because Derek Carr is still playing great. Whether people want to admit it or not, I think I'm not saying he's like an elite tier quarterback, but for me, whenever I try to pick teams, I just look at, all right, who's the better quarterback? And 90% of the time, I go with whoever the better quarterback is. And Bridgewater is fine, but to me, Carr is much better. So that's kind of what ultimately did it for me.
Not always, but there's typically, I feel, a bump with an interim coach. When there's a coach who's fired, usually it's for results-oriented. In this case, it was because Gruden is a douchebag. But still, it's like that negativity is out of the building. You get the interim coach comes in, everybody gets pumped, and maybe I should have bought into that more. Instead, Will and I fall farther and farther behind Tommy in the picks. The Dallas Cowboys won in dramatic fashion in overtime against the New England Patriots. Surprised that this game was close. You got to hand it to the Patriots. I mean, if there are moral victories for Belichick, that his team played well. Mac Jones looked great. There are not. But Mac Jones looked great. The Cowboys, though, they just find ways to win. Good teams.
They got Jerry Jones Frenching his kids. Like he's in a good mood. Like there's just a lot going on in Dallas right now, bro. Like this is the last two raw for Jerry. As soon as that final clock hit 0-0 in the Super Bowl, his heart is out.
And no one will have ever gone out happier than Jerry Jones in that moment.
Nope. And he will have a full erection while dead. It will just set in straight up. They'll hike the Dallas Cowboys flag up.
Unfortunately, go. All I was going to say is, unfortunately, the Dallas Cowboys, who I thought they were. Wow, I butchered that pretty badly. But yeah, they are who I thought they were, and they're delivering on everything that I was afraid that they were going to be. And of course, this pains me as an Eagles fan to say, but hey, if you want to strip me from my Eagles card, you're more than willing to do so. But Dak Prescott, man, he's filthy.
Even if you're an Eagles fan, you cannot. No one can deny how good this guy is.
Come on, you got to cheer for the guy. He's doing everything you want him to do, and honestly, he's just playing so well. And he has the one thing is, it's not just that he's playing well; he just has so much control in that offense. It's unbelievable. Like he literally orchestrates it. And anytime, even if it's like 4th and 11, and Dak Prescott's in shotgun, I'm like, well, there's like an 80% chance you're going to convert this. This is unbelievable. Whereas there aren't many other quarterbacks back there. Like, throw even Patrick Mahomes back there. I'd be like, we'll see. Maybe he can do some Mahomes magic. But for some reason, when Dak is back there, I'm like, I don't know what it is. He just has so much control. And as an Eagles fan, I hate it.
Wait, hang on. So I just said before that I couldn't think of a 2 wide receiver running back trio better than the Vikings. Like, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Zeke Elliott?
Not bad.
Mark? I'm going to still take the Vikings, though, personally.
Throw Tony Pollard in there. Dalton Schultz coming on, being one of the greatest tight ends.
Hang on.
I can just keep going.
Anthony, if you take Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and Ezekiel Elliott, shotgun. If you take Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson's, Dalvin Cook.
Also, Tommy will want to throw in
Cowboys.
the Tennessee Titans. I understand A.J. Brown, Julio Jones has been always hurt, but they also have Derrick Henry. I feel like that's pretty solid.
Julio Jones would be the equivalent of, like, is there a wide receiver that, like, Odell Beckham? Like, what is he doing?
That is his big name. But all I'm going to say is that's still solid. I still think it's solid.
Like, Randy Moss and Julio Jones have, like, equivalent performances so far this year. And Randy Moss has been retired.
Julio Jones has done essentially nothing. But for me, I feel like Derrick Henry gives you such a lead over any other running back. And the fact that I would still take Julio Jones's corpse and the food poisoning, fast food eating squirts having A.J. Brown still looking pretty good. I mean, hey, this is coming from an Eagles fan who has not used to seeing skill position players, and when we have one, Sirianni's like, nah, let's not use them. So I'm pretty butthurt, and I'm jealous of every other team. Even like Miami. I mean, come on, Waddle, Gesicki, I'm jealous. I'm honestly jealous.
And that's a shame that
you
isn't
can't
any
have a
better
guy
with
that's
those
fast.
weapons.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
You can't have a guy that's that fast and his name is Waddle.
I'm pretty sure that's not the first time you've made that joke on this podcast.
It's because it's true. We should also pivot and do the Monday night game before the Sunday night game because we just talked about Derrick Henry.
Okay.
And I'll bring this up. Credit and props to Micah Hyde.
Oh, yes.
Dude, he took a full
He went at it.
head-on steam of Derrick Henry. I mean, he
Literally.
got run over. Like, there's no I mean, he got trucked, bro. But he got him to the ground. And how many people in the NFL would have made a business decision and just kind of like sidestep arm tackled that? Exactly, dude. He took him head on.
He leaned in. He
Respect
put his head. He
to
leaned
Micah
into
Hyde.
it. Like, good for you, man. And then,
he
went the other
backwards
direction,
very far,
very quickly and violently. All right, let's talk about the game. So we'll jump ahead, skip Sunday night because that was actually a pretty boring game. You know,
because
let's not talk about it. Let's
Seahawks
just do the
anyway.
score. That was a boring game. Pittsburgh won in overtime, 23-20. Geno Smith had a mini comeback, but then he gets sacked by T.J. Watt, lose the ball. Steelers win. Blah blah blah. Sunday night done. Monday night, Tennessee Titans 34, Buffalo Bills 31. The Bills went for it on fourth down when they could have kicked a game-tying field goal. Josh Allen gets bamboozled by that Titans defense, and the Titans win. But the big story here, which we've already alluded to, is once again, this was Derrick Henry versus the other team, and Derrick Henry wins.
Three touchdowns, bro. 3 touchdowns. But here's the thing about Derrick Henry too. I have been critical of King Henry on this podcast.
You give that man his crown.
Right? He's
I'm done. I'm done.
He's great.
I bow down.
Oh, here we
However,
go.
However, right? He had 143 yards. 76 of that came on one play.
I
So
love
if you
this
take that
argument.
away-
This is
No,
my
'cause-
favorite argument.
He still had
Take away the one thing
still
he
had
always
like,
does well.
a
Take away
70
that great run
Yeah.
that he deserved and did, and then he sucks. That's
But
kind
that is the Henry. That's the Henry
Exactly.
experience. The Henry experience is he's gonna jab you and jab you. Those jabs are hella strong, and then the time he breaks one tackle and there's nobody right there, he's a freaking cannon.
The speed
That doesn't
is
make
just
sense.
dumb.
It
Like
doesn't-
for that
it doesn't
for
compute.
that size, like there was the secondary was like converging on him, and then he was
He's
just
past them.
through the
Yeah.
secondary before they converged. It's like what's
So
going
if
on?
you want
I don't understand.
actual
like, that's the
data
thing,
on
is-
this, he hit 21.8 miles per hour. That is the fastest of any player this season so far. Derrick Henry, 250-pound freaking monster, just ran faster than anyone else in the game this season. It's not fair.
I hit similar speeds when the pizza delivery.
I
driver
knew a food
knocked
joke
on
was
the door.
coming,
I'll
and
be
if not,
honest.
I was going to make a food joke. But good for calling yourself out on that. So,
It's like ding Domino's. I'm like 23 miles
Anthony,
an hour.
that what's with the drum roll? There you go.
There we go. There
Not
we
even
go.
doing the right
Drum
sound
roll,
drop.
drum
You
sound.
really did.
I was gonna say if I hit like 21 miles per hour on a bike when I'm at the gym, like one time a year I'm at the gym and I hit 21 miles, I'm just like, oh man, I'm a speed. Like if I'm in a school zone right now, I would get a ticket. And Derrick Henry's doing that while he's running, and I'm like, I actually went to check Madden to see what his speed was. It's 92. That's respectable, but still, I'm like, bro, you gotta up 90. He literally, this is the fastest ball carrying speed by anyone in the NFL, and he's like 240 pounds and like 6'3". It doesn't make sense.
The best part of that run was the commentator, and I tweeted about this. He goes, I think he said looks like he'll go all the way. He was 20 yards in front of the safety with like 15 yards to go. Like he could have tripped and still scored.
He
Like
could have tripped,
bro, you gotta
stood
be
up,
faster
and
with
then
your
continued
calls.
to
Like-
run before anyone touched him.
Like I wish announcers would be more like, when he hits the secondary, be like, nope,
just wanna
there
be
it
like,
is,
he
done.
gone.
But they got to be like, yeah, exactly. But they're all like, they're the 30, the 25, like, bro, like, stop it. He's already scored.
One
He
last
scored
thing is when
that
you look
ball
at Derrick
snapped.
Henry, you would think that he's literally plowing through guys. As soon as he hit the hole, he literally just ran around the guys and just outran them. And I was like,
Didn't
dude,
even touch
at a
him.
guy, yeah, at the guy your size, you shouldn't be able to just gain separation to like safeties who are like 30 pounds like thinner than you that ran like a 4.3. But
Jeez,
that's
not
what he's
fair.
doing. It's unbelievable.
I mean, the Bills are still
yeah.
a good
Oh, yeah.
team, right? Like, I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna
They should have won this game. They outplayed the Titans, but the Titans came through when it mattered.
The Titans had Derrick Henry, and they couldn't stop. I don't blame them.
Moving on. King Henry, whatever. I was wrong. I salute you. But I'm not paying your absurd price on DraftKings this week.
We will talk about our DraftKings picks in not too long. Let's talk about our game picks. So for week 6, I went 9-5. There were only 14 games with 4 teams on bye. Will went 10-4, and Tommy 12-2. Will you stop getting picks freaking right? We cannot catch you if you keep doing that.
Well, that's because he listens. He never is on the show, so he listens to us make our picks, and then he makes a business decision to figure out which one he's going to agree with.
But he's still getting them right, regardless of his strategy. You listen to my picks, Will. You make me pick most of the picks first, and then you do. It's no different.
Yeah, well, you pick the Dolphins. It's easy to beat you.
Our standings for the year, I'm at 60-34. Will is at 63-31. Tommy at 69-25.
Nice.
Good thing there's 18 weeks, so we got some time to catch up. But Tommy with a nice lead. He can pick his Eagles for a number of weeks to come and still have a comfortable lead. Let's go ahead and pick the Week 7 games. Thursday Night Football, a couple of injured teams. Denver Broncos at Cleveland Browns. As we've been doing, let's just kind of run through and make our picks. If you do have some insight to add, feel free. We'll make it nice and brisk. Denver Broncos traveling to the Cleveland Browns on Thursday night. The Browns are favored by 5. The over-under 44.5. Tommy, we'll start with you on this one since you were out last week.
Oh, boy, this one's a hard one, only because the Browns have absolutely been decimated. And the Broncos, they have had their fair share of losses, but they are still a solid team. Well, that's what people want me to think. But I'm not falling for it. I'm still picking Cleveland. All my instinct says pick Denver, but I feel like I have that lead enough to be like, hey, you know what? Go against the grain. Let's see what Stefanski can do. Now he's up against it. So I feel like I might be the only one here, but go with the Browns.
Right. You don't just get to pick last each time.
I know. Tommy has to pick first until he's no longer in
That's
first.
Fair.
That's the new rule.
Okay.
The person in first
Fair
picks
enough. Then the person in second picks second. Will go. Gotcha. My picks are written down. I'm not using your information unless you make a compelling argument.
This is the thing, right? Like, I want to pick the Browns, but I'm just thinking about what kind of offense are they going to roll out? They're going to roll out
Ernest Johnson.
Mayfield. They're going to roll out Ernest Johnson on a run-first team. Like, the defense is still great. Tommy's probably right, but I'm going to pick the Broncos just because they're just decimated, dude. They're really, really, really hurt, and so I don't like the Broncos. I don't like the pick, but that's what I'm going with. I hope I'm wrong.
I am picking the Browns. It was definitely something that gave me pause. The Broncos also have their fair share of injuries on both sides of the ball. Mayfield has said that he is going to be playing, even with his shoulder injury. They've still got Odell Beckham, who is injured, is supposedly going to be suiting up. It just feels like Cleveland's going to be better coached. They still have more talent, even with those injuries. I could be proven wrong, but I'm going with Cleveland on this one. All right, the Sunday games. Carolina Panthers traveling to the New York Giants. Giants are underdogs. The Panthers are favored by 2.5. 44.5 is the over-under. Tommy, first to pick.
Yeah, this one's easy for me. Until the Giants can prove to me that they're a decent team, I'm going to go with the other team. I love Matt Rule. I understand that we're kind of a little bit confused on what the Panthers are, but overall, I think the Panthers are a better team top to bottom, so it's Carolina for me.
I'm going to agree. The Giants are just bad.
You love to hear it. I do.
Just bad.
Kadarius Toney already ruled out the one exciting player they have. Saquon is also not looking good to play this week. I mean, who do they have? Danny Duds has resurfaced as what we all thought he was. I also am picking Carolina. New York Jets traveling to Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots. Not sure I necessarily agree with this spread, but the Patriots are favored by 7 with an over-under of 43.
This one's easy for me. It's the Patriots. I know. If anyone knows anything about Bill Belichick, besides him being grumpy, he hates the Jets. So, no matter how.
And they have a rookie quarterback.
Exactly. So.
And he owns the Jets. Their defense had 19 points in week 2, was it?
Yeah.
Last time they played. It was
Yeah,
dirty.
this one's the
bad.
easiest pick we've had so far, so it's easily the Patriots.
You got to actually say it, Will. Patriots, okay.
Oh, yeah,
Just making sure.
It's
Kansas,
assumed.
there's no
It was assumed.
assuming, because you're going to try to get back in a technicality later. I'm going to make you make the pick.
I could totally
Yeah.
see Will doing that.
He 100% would do that. Kansas City Chiefs at the Tennessee Titans. Titans coming off that Monday night victory we were just talking about. Kansas City is favored on the road by 4. Over under of 56. I believe that's the highest slate for the week. Yep.
Yeah, as much as I love Tennessee, I understand the Chiefs have been struggling a little bit, but I still can't go against Patty Mahomes right now. So it's boring, but got to pick KC.
Yeah, of course. Like, you have to. Tennessee has no secondary. Like, Derrick Henry's going to have 500 yards. But at the end of the day,
Mahomes will have 600.
But at the end of the day, you're right. The Chiefs
against
offense
that
will also.
Titans secondary. 100% agree. Definitely going with the Chiefs on this one. Washington football team traveling to Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers. Packers 9.5-point favorites.
Can I go first? I'll go first.
Oh,
Okay.
man, you beat me to it. So I got to copy Will now. Mr. Rogers and the Packers.
Have we been all aligned? Because I'm also picking the Packers. Have we picked anything different? Oh, you picked. We'll pick the Broncos. That's the only difference so
Sure
far.
did.
So I'm going to do this game. The Atlanta Falcons are traveling to the struggling, hobbled, awful, ridiculously bad.
Those other
not
adjectives are
anywhere
completely
near good-
unnecessary.
the Miami stretcher awful sham.
You
Dolphins.
have to pick the Falcons after all this.
Dolphins are
1 point favorite.
Favored by 1 point favorite, which is just awful because they're a bad team. Tommy, how do you feel about this game playing out, and why will Brian be sad when it's over?
I really want to play hero for Brian right now, but once again, where my picks always start and end are, all right, which quarterback do I like to go for? And honestly, like Brian said, I think Tua Tagovailoa, he had one of the higher passer ratings this past week. But then once again, reality sets in. It's like, oh, they play the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. Okay, that kind of makes sense. So for me right now, it looks like Matty Ice is waking up slowly. I know he's kind of like a grandpa right now, but he is slinging it. And at the end of the day, I know for some reason Brian Flores is so respected in the NFL, or allegedly he is. I've been outspoken saying I do not like how they handled Tua Tagovailoa. I do not understand why their defense is so bad. Not much has changed on their defense, but they're terrible. So for me, it's gotta be ATL. Gotta be Atlanta.
Great. That means the Dolphins are going to lose. Will, is that who you're picking? Because whoever Tommy picks gets right. So
I got a spoiler alert for you, and this will make Brian happy. If you're playing, this is not a cash play, it's a tournament play, and we're talking about DFS. Tua is my pick this week because the Atlanta's defense is awful. The secondary is really bad. He could have a great game. I mean, it's not going to be pretty, but statistically, he could have a great game, and it's probably going to be a pretty high-scoring game. But at the end of the day, both offenses are going to do that, right? So I'm going to have to go with my guy Kyle Pitts. Calvin Ridley's back. If the Falcons are starting to get it together.
Corduroy.
So
Corduroy.
NFL MVP Corduroy Patterson. He's $8,000. $8,000 this week.
Cordero Patterson has officially priced himself out of value. I will say that the Dolphins were without both Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, their 2-star defensive backs in London against Jacksonville. I'm hoping that they come back this week. It's probably a homer pick. I'm probably going to regret it, but I'm going to go with my Dolphins at home. This was a tough choice. If that Falcons defense wasn't awful and didn't have much of a pass rush, which the offensive line for the Dolphins is pretty bad, but if there's no pass rush coming at them, Tua can make some plays. We talked earlier. They got Mckissick, they got Waddle. They have some playmakers. I'd like to think that Miami bounces back here, especially if they get some of those players back on defense. Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 6.5 at home, over under of 47.5.
That's going to be a fun game, man.
I have been so high on the Ravens, but this is where my fandoms collide because I love Joe Burrow. But
I think this show is a Bengals fan show. We have Cincinnati. Yeah, they're scrappy.
No,
there's no shame in it.
Not.
There's really not. Like, Cincinnati deserves
100%
this.
they do, but now I'm going to be a little bit of a heel after I kind of talked him up. I got to go with Lamar. I'm dying on this. I'm willing to die on this hill this season with Lamar, and so I got to pick the Ravens. Very on brand.
I agree. I don't think that when you look at the offense versus defense matchups, like Baltimore has to come out.
I wouldn't be surprised if Cincinnati covers. I am picking the Ravens to win, but this is a division game. Cincinnati is quietly has one of the better defenses in the NFL this year. But it's a matter of if Joe Burrow and that offense can stand up against a Ravens defense that just shut down Air Bear and that Chargers offense. So I'm going to side with Baltimore at home. The Detroit Lions, Anthony, are definitely not getting their first win this week.
The spread is 16 points.
Anthony, boing if you're going to this game. That's what I thought. Ooh. Yeah, I knew. He had tickets. His beloved Detroit Lions traveling to his future beloved Los Angeles Rams at SoFi Stadium. Anthony, for those who may not know, lives in L.A.
Anthony, sad trumpet if you're going to get laid no matter who wins this game.
Wah, wah. No, son. He's
not going to. He's not going to. No. Oh, Anthony's in the doghouse. Or either that or he can't find the sad trumpet. One of those two.
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Wait, is Anthony like a masochist? Like, does he just want to see his favorite team just get absolutely destroyed in front of him? Like, does he get enjoyment off of this?
I'm going to go back to that scene from 300 where it's like, you will not enjoy this. This will not be pretty. This will not be over quickly.
The Rams are favored by 16, over under of 50. We don't need to spend any more time on this. We got the Anthony jokes in.
The over and under is based entirely on the Rams.
If
offense,
anybody picks the Lions, yeah, exactly.
Seek help.
50-0. Yes. All right. So, just for official bookkeeping purposes, Tommy.
Gonna pick the Rams to be on the record, of course.
Well, okay, Rams. It is. Moving on to Philadelphia Eagles. Here's another. Tommy's heart is going to be a little bit divided here. His Eagles versus his flag-planted Las Vegas Raiders in Vegas. The Raiders are favored by 3 with an over-under of 48.5. Tommy, do you pick your Eagles or do you pick your car-led Raiders?
This is a classic. Do you go with your brain or do you go with your heart? And or your wiener. Sometimes they match up between your heart or brain. Sometimes it doesn't. But this time I have to go with the Birds. There's no way I'm picking the Raiders when it's this close. Gotta go with the Birds. Jalen Hurts, please just play decently. You couldn't even play well against a bad secondary in Tampa, so I can't expect better things with the great pass rush that Vegas has. But whatever. Go Birds!
Can we agree, though? I mean, so the 4 o'clock games, and I know we haven't talked the rest about them yet, but the spreads are 15 points, basically, for 3 of the 4 of them, and then there's this game. So this is probably going to be the only interesting game of the late slate.
And living in the Bay Area, it'll be the game that's on the TV, so at least I'll get to watch this. I don't have to watch any of these other blowouts.
I kind of want to go with
on the line.
Birds
Well,
here.
just remember that.
I really do. I kind of think it's gonna be the Raiders, though. Just being a little honest. I mean, they look pretty good, but I'm just gonna go with Tommy.
Go Birds!
There you go. Well, number 1, I had already picked the Raiders, but number 2, I also have to make some contrarian picks if I ever hope to catch both of you guys. So I'm sticking with Vegas.
No, you're just gonna get farther and farther.
Most likely,
that's true.
Yeah. So you know what, guys? Tommy, you should be happy. If I'm picking the Raiders, that means the Eagles will probably win. Congratulations, my Dolphins will lose.
Congratulations.
Should be a fun week. But yes, I am going with the Raiders. Should be a good game, like you said. It looks like the only entertaining late game. All right, the last entertaining. Oh no, there's 2 more in the Sunday afternoon spot. Houston Texans and Arizona Cardinals. Come on, Arizona favored by 17.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing. Can we just pick the Cardinals and move on? It's almost at an hour already in the show.
Here's the thing.
What's the thing with Cardinals and versus the Texans? What thing could there possibly be?
If you had to plan let's.
I feel like Seinfeld. Where's the thing? What thing could it be? That was a very bad Seinfeld impression. Okay. So for the record, Tommy.
It's gonna be my little Korean hobbit. It's gotta be with the Arizona Cardinals. He's half
Is he
Korean.
Korean?
Part Korean, yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
I thought I
Look at
said
his
this multiple
Is it-
times, and I thought you called me
He
out
has.
saying, yeah.
Tommy
Well,
has brought it up multiple times on this very show.
And you specifically called me out, being like, "Did you ever say
Sorry.
that?" Sarcastically, of course. I was like, "Yeah." Exactly.
Do they have like Kyler Murray Day?
I
in
feel like we
Korea?
should. Yeah, that replaced
They
Heinz
should.
Ward's Day. So yeah, I think we do have a Kyler Murray.
He's
Day.
just been cast in Squid Game 2, so
Yeah,
make sure
yeah.
to stay tuned for that. Will officially make your Cardinals pick.
Hopefully, there's not a dunk contest.
Will officially make your Cardinals. Yeah, right. Make your Cardinals pick.
He would lose because he's short.
Okay, Cardinals.
Cardinals.
Chicago Bears at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa favored by 13. I think that's the spread they could easily cover in this game. Tommy?
Oh, it's got to be the Bucs. It's got to be the Bucs. It's not even close.
Yeah, Bucks. Okay.
Bucks.
Here's the point
Go
I was
ahead.
going to make. Now's a good time to make it. If you have to look at all the games on this slate, right? Like we just talked about games that have ridiculous spreads. I feel kind of like in my heart that the Cardinals could lay an egg here, right, against the Texans, and not like they're going to lose, but like the Texans just could have one of those games and the Cardinals have one of those bad games. Like if you had to pick between the Bucks-Bears game and the Cardinals-Texans game to kind of surprise you, which of the two games do you think has the higher chance of going?
Do I have to? Can I add a third choice? Of all of these three high spread
Sure.
games, if I had to pick a game that would surprise me, Anthony, Lions, Rams. Just because this Lions team is 2 field goals away from 2 victories. You know, they've had victories snatched from them twice. Once against the Vikings and once with a 66-yarder against the Ravens. This is a team that plays well. They're the best coached of these 3 games. I don't think they're going to come close. Sorry,
You
Anthony.
really think Stafford's going to let that happen? He's going to see the team that kept him prisoner for like 30 years, and then he's just going to whoop them.
This
Like,
is not a
they
prediction.
don't even need McVay there.
Jared Goff-
Take the night off.
Hey,
He would
I'm
spank
not-
them.
For the record, I'm not predicting this. I'm saying of these 3
That's
high
fair.
spread games, if I had to pick one, because I don't see a scenario where the Davis Mills-led Texans are going to make it competitive with the Cardinals, Kyler Murray, but also that Cardinals defense. I don't see a scenario maybe
that's
with
fair.
the Bears where they get a little, Justin Fields with that bad secondary, but the Bucs are just way too good, and the rest of that Bears team is not. But the Lions, we saw the Rams lay a dud against the Cardinals. Do I think it'll happen? Absolutely not. But of these 3 games, I would put my money on that game. All right, let's move on. Sunday Night Football. Indianapolis Colts travel to Levi Stadium to take on the San Francisco 49ers. Niners are favored by 4 at home with an over-under of 44.5. Looking at a defensive struggle here.
All right, I guess I'm going to pivot here. I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts. I think the 49ers are a great team. This isn't me picking the Colts to be like, oh, San Fran stinks, but they have their fair share of injuries. Their defense has always been solid, but I don't know. Carson Wentz has slowly been turning it on, which sounds really weird. I know I'm an Eagles fan and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like at the end of the day, top to bottom, I do like the Colts overall more. And like I said, this comes back to the thing that I said over and over again. It comes down to which quarterback do I trust more? Jimmy G, who may be coming back because Lance hasn't really been practicing, or Carson Wentz, who once again isn't that great of a quarterback, but he has been pretty solid. He has not been the reason they've been losing games. So for me personally, I'm going with the Colts.
I agree with
I
you.
am going to pick the 49ers. This was one of, if not the toughest game I had to pick. I could very easily see the Colts winning, especially coming off. They nearly beat the Ravens. They completely trounced the Texans. They seem to be rounding into form just at the right time. But I still like, if Kyle Shanahan, I feel like he'll find ways to get his playmakers. Deebo Samuel, Ayuk. Kittle, I believe, is still on IR, so he won't be available for this game. I'm almost talking myself. I'm going to pick the 49ers because, once again, I have to get contrarian here. But,
right.
man, it wouldn't surprise me if the Colts win this game.
Let's go to the judges. Anthony, goat sound, Colts. Any other sound, 49ers.
Ah, nice. There we go.
All right.
Anthony siding with me. A little shotgun action. And finally, Monday Night Football. The New Orleans Saints, fresh off a bye, are traveling to the Geno Smith-led Seattle Seahawks, who nearly knocked off the all-not-so-powerful Pittsburgh Steelers. The Saints are favored by 3.5 on the road with an over-under of 44, another low-scoring game.
Yeah, I really want to pick Seattle just because I love DK Metcalf, but that's about it. But I can't pick that. I got to pick New Orleans Saints, mostly because, like you mentioned, coming off of a bye, I mean, hopefully that they've been preparing hard for this game. So this, honestly, weirdly enough, was one of the harder games for me, but I am going to pick New Orleans.
Can I take games I probably won't watch for 500, Alex?
You can go to sleep early Monday.
I have not watched the Saints this season. I'm trying to watch all of the teams.
Not missing much.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
I didn't watch that Packers Saints game. It was on, but it wasn't like the game I was focusing on. So I'm curious. Okay. I am curious to watch this game. Did you make your pick already, Will? Okay. Yeah, I'm going Seahawks. Good. So either I'm going to be completely buried.
Have a clean lead after this, huh?
Oh, you already have a clean lead.
Brian's record is going straight Dolphins after this week.
If you talk about the quarterback thing here, I don't necessarily think the Jameis experience is that much better than the Geno experience these days. I'm counting on the Hawks' nest, like that. You know, the 12th man playing at home in Seattle on Monday night. Once again, this is almost like an instinct.
See, Geno Smith throwing to DK Metcalf is like if a guy with no legs going out and buying a Ferrari. Like you can't make you
There's
can't
no way to push
you
the
can't
pedal.
make
Yeah.
use of that weapon, bro. There's like, are you just gonna look at it because like you don't know what to do with it?
Oh, poor Geno Smith, longtime listener of this show. I'm sorry, Geno.
So,
what was that army in Game of Thrones?
The
What
Dothraki?
was the name of the army? Was the
the eunuchs?
Yeah, the eunuchs. It's like when the lead or Grey Wolf or Grey Worm had that really hot girlfriend. It's like, what are you going to do with that, bro? Like nothing.
Missandei.
Just going to be friends.
Again, nice to have a Game of Thrones reference though in there for good measure. Let's go. Let's talk some fantasy football. Let's go to our DFS Highers and Flyers presented by Draftkings, and let's go for a little ad read. NFL fans hungry for a big win this week? DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, has you covered. New customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game. And if they do, you win $200 in free bets. So just bet $5 on any game. It could be your favorite team or just a team you think are going to win. You know what? Bet on the Cardinals to beat the Texans. And if they win, you get $200 in free bets. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. It's that simple. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, DraftKings won't leave you empty-handed. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings daily fantasy sports contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TPPN. Bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game and win $200 in free bets. If they win, you win with promo code TPPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Wow, look how good he is. That was all live, folks.
I'm getting
that
good.
was not pre-recorded.
No.
I'm getting good.
It was...
Boom.
To be clear, it was the
Unsullied. That's right. Yeah. And thank you for not sullying my ad read right there, Will, like you did 2 weeks ago.
I really thought about just in the middle of it being like, wait.
We can't. We don't want to lose our
Keep
DraftKings
going.
sponsor because Will is insisting on putting the Unsullied name in there.
I can guarantee you that would not be
You're
the
right.
thing.
You are very right. Another week of the NFL season means another shot to win big at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet just $1 on any NFL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a point. The last 0-0 tie in the NFL? Yeah, that was in 1943. So I would say this is a no-brainer. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, DraftKings won't leave you empty-handed. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings daily fantasy sports contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use promo code TPPN, throw down $1 on any NFL game, and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a single point. That's promo code TPPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So if you're a first-time listener, our DFS Highers and Flyers, where Will and I give our higher, a daily fantasy DFS pick for DraftKings that we feel is higher priced but poised to produce, and a flyer, a lower priced but we feel great value, either due to opportunity or matchup that to really pay off for that low price. Highers and Flyers, we're going to go through each position. I'll start at quarterback, going for Mr. Patrick Mahomes, 8,400 versus the Titans defense. I mentioned earlier, this is the highest assumed point total on the main slate, actually for the entire slate. I think the point total, what did I say, was 54.5, 55, something like that. So there's going to be points scored. You talk about two very bad secondaries, two very good offenses. We're going to see points in this. That Titans secondary is bad. They're 31st on DraftKings versus quarterbacks, and Mahomes is averaging 28.6 points. Take it to the bank. Patrick Mahomes at quarterback.
I like it. I think if you're gonna save some money this week, I think you could do worse than Aaron Rodgers against the football team secondary. It's not as slam dunk, but it's a pretty steep discount off of Patrick Mahomes. I like it for tournaments this week. I mean, Devontae didn't have a great week, so you could do worse than Aaron. And then, I'll let you take your flyer.
Well, thank you.
First,
Very kind of you, Will. My flyer. We'll talk about that Bucs secondary and how it's depleted. Why not Justin Fields for 5,300? He's only averaging about 15 points so far, so there's not a high ceiling so far. However, this is purely a price play. If he gets, maybe one passing, one rushing touchdown, he can get you, even at 15 points, that's 3x at a 5,300 price. The Bucs are 28th versus quarterbacks right now. I have not liked how Fields played. I'm probably not going to start Fields. Will is just nonstop shaking his head. The whole point of the flyer is for us to give advice.
Hate it.
For us to give advice based on our value. So, hey, if you want to punt the quarterback position, 5,300 for Fields, I like it.
And you're playing in a tournament where you can afford to have like a...
Or you just stack up on some expensive
play.
players like I'm going to mention later.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it for tournaments, right? The logic is sound. He's just bad right now, and that D-line and that whole... it just... dominant, so I think they're going to make him look silly even with their bad secondary. So I'm going to pay $200 more. I'm going with Tua at home versus Atlanta. Talk about an awful secondary. Unlike Chicago, Tua
Anthony, can I get a happy sound drop for Will picking Tua in DFS?
Get a boing boing, a boing sound. No, that's whatever. That's fine. Fine. I think you could do worse. I think you stack him with either Gesicki or Waddle. Don't do both.
Waddle.
There's not enough ceiling there for that. But Waddle. And then flipping over to running backs. I'll let you go first so I can critique.
Fair enough. Thanks for the segue, but yeah, I'll get to make my pick. I thought you were going to roll with the pick, but fine. Derrick Henry. I mentioned earlier, I'm done betting against this guy. He is 9,200, which for DraftKings is very high. He is going against the Chiefs' defense, which has been very susceptible to all kinds of offense, passing and rushing. But here's the thing. The Titans haven't had a great passing attack. Julio Jones hasn't been fully healthy. A.J. Brown did look better, even though he was coming off that food poisoning. But without Arthur Smith, the passing attack hasn't looked as good. But you know what has looked as good is Derrick Henry. You don't need a special scheme. You just hand freaking King Henry the ball. He's averaging 30.9 points per game. It doesn't matter that he's not involved in the pass game. Dude scores 3 touchdowns a game at 150 yards. So I don't care if he's 9,200. He's averaging 3x that. So against a bad Chiefs defense, when your entire offense is Derrick Henry, yeah, give me King Henry all day.
I would like to see the lineup that you can make with him in there that just doesn't look like straight booty juice. Like,
well, if I put Tua in at quarterback
and
have to save $3,000, I like that.
I guess. I'm with you. I mean, it's as good a play as you can ever get. But it's pricey. I'm gonna go back to what I said in the beginning of the episode. I'm gonna take Henderson versus Detroit. Like, Detroit has always been bad against everybody,
Anyone
but
with a
especially
pole.
like pass catching running backs. And the Rams are just going to have their way with them. I mean, Henderson looked great last week. He's great in the pass game. He's only 6,600, which isn't too bad. So I'm going to go there. And then I do like what you're going to talk about. I'll mention mine, though. I'm going to go back to the well with Damien Harris versus the Jets. I really like the Pats defense Harris stack this week. He came on. He had a great game last week. He's kind of the focus of that offense.
Crossed the
trying to
100-yard
take it
mark
off Mac
last week.
Jones, so I'm going to go 5,700 versus the Jets.
I really like my flyer pick here. J.D. McKissick at only 5,000 versus the Packers defense, which has been very susceptible to the run. He had 19 points, including 10 targets last week with Antonio Gibson injured. Gibson is dealing with multiple injuries, both a shin injury and a calf injury. So even if he's in, McKissick gets play. He gets a lot of targets. He's their third down back. So it's not a 50-50 split when Gibson's in there, but it's not that far off. McKissick is going to get a lot of play, and if Gibson doesn't play or if leaves the game early like he did last week, at 5,000, really easy to pay that off. So I'm definitely going to fit McKissick in some lineups this week. Moving on to wide receiver. The wide receiver that Will had, I initially had in this, but I ended up pivoting to save some money because, once again, I'm trying to fit Derrick Henry's 9,200 in there. DJ Moore at only 7,100 against, we talked earlier about just how bad this Giants team is. Well, Moore himself is averaging 19.4 points, and the Giants just got absolutely torched by the Rams through the air. I think everybody on that team scored a touchdown. Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp had a couple, Daryl Henderson through the air. So this Giants defense susceptible all across the board, but certainly against the pass. And at 7,100, I really like DJ Moore to pay off there.
I don't hate it, but I think you got to give some respect to the man we talked about. 37% target share against the risk. The only risk with playing Cooper Kupp this week, and that's who I'm talking about, against the Lions, is the Lions get up so much that, I mean, the Rams get up so much.
Was that a Freudian slip?
Stop throwing it.
We were just talking about it. Did Will just put that in the universe that the Lions were going to have a big lead on the Rams? Anthony, thoughts?
No, I didn't. No thoughts. Stop that. However, my flyer, and this is going to be a boing from Anthony. I'm going to run it back with I'm on Ross St. Brown from the Detroit's offense. And you're talking about price play. I mean, he's 4,100. The Lions have to move the ball. He's had a very consistent 3 weeks. And if you're just trying to throw I'll call him a garbage wide receiver in there for a min price and you want 10 points, St. Brown's probably going to give it to you. So I'm going to take him as a flyer this week against the Rams.
Sticking with the theme that I need to really go low priced at a number of these positions in order to fit that 9,200 for Derrick Henry. How about Nico Collins at 3,200? Came back off injured reserve, got 6 targets last week, going up against the Cardinals defense. They're going to be trailing the entire game. At 3,200, he doesn't need to. He can get me 10 points and get 3x there. So I like this. 6 targets last week. That price, that game script. I need to save money somewhere. I'm going a little Nico Collins.
Tommy, are you going to be upset or laugh when Brian's Herculean offense of Justin Fields, Nico Collins, J.D. McKissick, and C.J. Uzomah.
Hey, you're giving away my tight end picks already.
With
I'm
Derrick Henry
trembling
in the
in my
flex,
boots.
just owns my entire team because Derrick Henry's going to have 60 points. It's going to be ridiculous.
And I am not going to let you
Speaking
forget
of
it if I put this kind of lineup together and just trounce you next week, just so you know.
Speaking of C.J. Uzomah, why don't we talk about him?
You stop reading the show notes and skipping ahead, all right? Let's talk about first my hire at tight end.
No, let's talk about Flyers first.
It's called Hires and Flyers, not Flyers and Hires. We got to stick with the...
I see that you're not flexible, Brian. Why don't you have a little agility and adjust?
You know what? Fine. You get
I'm
your
just
way.
here for the show. This is great.
We do it to entertain you, Tommy. Okay.
I'll go first.
Oh, we're just way off.
I'll go first. So let's take a flyer this week. let's take a flyer this week. I'm going to go back to the Washington well, who's going to be down. I'm going to go with Ricky Seals-Jones against Green Bay.
He really paid off last week. He was
cheap.
one of the only players I put in that really paid off.
3,700 against that Green Bay defense, and they're going to have to throw, and he's done worse. So, and the only other receiver on that entire team is Terry McLaurin. So I do not.
So as Will already gave away the game, since we're starting with our Flyers, why for 3,000? This is purely a price play. Now I'm not going to play all these Flyers. Let's be clear.
Every single one of them.
Purely a price play. I want to try to squeeze some of these guys in. CJ Uzoma, who's averaging 8 points a game, is only priced at 3,000. So that's 2.5 right there. Gets 3 to 4 catches or scores a touchdown. He more than pays it off. The Ravens are 29th against tight ends. I could see this being a game where Marlon Humphreys shuts down the rookie Chase, and they have to go more to their tight ends here. The Ravens shut down the run against the Chargers, so I think the tight ends are the place where they're the most susceptible. Patrick Queen has had some trouble in coverage as the middle linebacker. So that's the idea. For 3,000, he doesn't need to get me much to pay off. And my higher, which I'm probably going to be more likely to put in. Why do you keep interrupting me?
Hang on. Before you talk, because I got to respond first. Anthony, going forward, we need to have one of those dartboard sounds where it's like, whoonk, and it's like the dart flying through the air and hitting the dartboard. That's for Brian's quote-unquote price plays for the future. He just makes his play, and then you just play the dartboard sound. And then
or it could be a cha-ching.
I also wanted to interrupt you because I didn't want you just to flow naturally into your hire, because I think it is one of the picks of the week. So I wanted to create a little bit of a chasm there so we can highlight how good of a pick you're
I will accept your pivot and praise on my higher pick. So tight end, Mark Andrews. Only 6,000 going against the Bengals defense. He has been an absolute monster. He is far and away Lamar Jackson's favorite target. Averaging 18 points. The Bengals are certainly susceptible to tight ends. And he's just getting so much volume. Big red zone target, but also getting 6 to 8 targets a game. At only 6,000, really easy to pay him off. I'm probably not going to play Uzoma. I'm probably going to be putting Andrews in most of my lineups. I'm going to
It's like...
Well, what a surprise.
It's like getting Travis Kelce. It's like getting Travis Kelce but paying for like a, you bought a Ferrari but you paid for a Subaru. You're paying a Subaru price.
Oh, you still have your hire yet, because we went backwards and I'm completely turned around now. Who's your hired tight end?
I know. That's you got to be able to follow the script, Brian.
Follow the script. I wrote the script. You're the one who's reversing the script.
Listen, calm down. For my higher pick, we're going to go back to the well on what kind of player is going to play into the Dolphins' loss, and that's going to be Kyle Pitts versus Miami. Just had his coming out party, his NFL coming out party not too long ago. They do get Ridley back, so this is a little bit of a risk, and his price is not that low. It's $5,900. So to be clear, I prefer Mark Andrews. However, if Mark Andrews is going to be a very, very popular play. If you want to pivot off that, you want to take Kyle Pitts. I don't hate it. However, I will also be playing Mark Andrews.
I think for fun, I'm going to put together a lineup separately from our league, just with all these Flyers. Like put it in like a dollar contest and just see what happens. I will definitely lose $1.
That's like the Jets are like 100,000 to 1 odds to win the Super Bowl. So if you bet $100 on the Jets, you will lose $100.
That's the idea behind odds. Let's finish it up with the defensive special teams. My higher, because we're getting back to the normal format here, really like the Cardinals defense at 3,100 versus that Texans offense. Davis Mills, still the quarterback, just played absolutely awful against the Colts, and I think the Cardinals have had a better defense than the Colts this season. So at 3,100, I think this is a pretty straightforward higher defense play.
I'm going to go with what I already said, which is the Pats.
You put the Flyer at my higher. You picked the same defense.
Don't spoil it.
You spoiled mine. I just got you back with the Uzoma pick.
So my higher this week is the Pats versus the Jets. This has already paid off once. So, does lightning strike in a bottle twice? Probably not. However, not that expensive, and I think it's a good play. So I'm going to go with the Jets going to stack him with Harris, 3,400. Don't hate it.
Go for your flyer,
right?
since I already revealed it.
My flyer, like, I hate the cheap defenses this week. Like, you're going to pick one, and it's fine. I think they're all, like, a real big risk this week. So my flyer is actually your higher. Hey, spoiler. Nobody saw that coming. I'm going to go with the Cardinals versus the Texans at 3,100. Don't like the cheap defenses this week. I want to try to figure out a way to get up there.
Well, I gave you lots of flyer options, so you should be able to bump your budget up on the defenses. Just saying. Nico Collins.
I can play
CJ
two Derrick
Uzomah.
Henrys if I play all the dart throws. That
You can get Cooper Kupp and Derrick Henry in there, maybe. Just saying. So I'm with Will. I don't like the super cheap defenses, but I stuck to the rules and I picked one, and that's the Jets defense at 2,400. I think the Patriots win this game. I think they win it handily, but the Patriots do not have a high flying offense by any stretch of the imagination. So the Jets have been able to get some pass rush pressure throughout the season. Mac Jones makes a mistake or two. I can see them paying off. That being said, I probably won't put them in many lineups. All right.
Coward.
So look at you, Tommy, just sitting there waiting to throw the dagger.
Spicy.
As we end the, of course he throws the insult as he runs away to his fantasy island. That's like the right time to just like throw it out there. So as we've been doing, we will drop a separate episode on Thursday for Tommy's fantasy island. I love it. You get some nice island music. Get yourself a Mai Tai, get yourself a margarita, and just sit with Tommy for 10 minutes and listen to some fantasy nuggets. It is glorious. Let's recap our DFS leagues from last week. Our free DraftKings league. I'm going to do it even more now. I'm going to emphasize it because Tommy had to throw a dart at me. I'm going to make sure that you get your,
I'm awful.
Get your what's coming to you. All right. So first of all, free DraftKings league, 21 entries this week. It's 100% free, guys. If you're not in that yet, you literally have nothing to lose. Just email pigskinpartypodcast@gmail.com or DM us at officialpppod on Twitter so we can give you the link to join the league. And then use the promo code TPPN if you've never had DraftKings before. Because you know what? You can get $200 in free bets if you bet $5 on any NFL team to win. Recap of the winners in our free DraftKings league. Huggy Bear, $35 for first place with 186.20 points. Congrats, Huggy Bear. He already tagged us on Twitter. Super excited to get his victory there. $15. Second place, Jeff Scheisse. Jeff was actually... This is important because I was tracking this. Jeff was in first most of the day until that Dak Prescott to CeeDee Lamb walk-off touchdown in overtime to end the entire slate, put Huggy Bear in first. So, Jeff, sorry, you finished in second, but still 177.48. Good job. And $5 in third place for MCAT. MCAT has actually, I've been tracking this. She has been in the contest, I believe, since week 1. Finally placed. MCAT, congratulations with your 164.66. You get $5. The code word for this, what? I gotta take away Will's editing. I go to read the code word. He's completely erased my very clever code word and put something Brady oriented, so I'm gonna ignore that. The code word this week is silence of the CeeDee Lamb. How do you like that? So just in order to get your winnings, just email at pigskinpartypodcast@gmail.com or DM us on Twitter at officialpppod, the code word silence of the CeeDee Lamb. Will thought it would be funny for the code word to be Brady Bunch, but if you email me Brady Bunch, you are not getting paid. I'm just putting that out there. Silence of the CeeDee Lamb. Our season...
It's also a requirement to get paid to follow me on Twitter.
Yes,
Will
there you
So
go.
Hard.
I like that. Follow all of us on Twitter. It's Tommy U, Will So Hard, and Bry Mick19. You don't have to follow my personal.
Yeah. Way to have an easy.
Just
effing
follow
name to
official
memorize,
PP
Brian.
Pod. I'm good with that. Our season-long DFS league. Tommy, how'd it go this week?
Wait, did we play this week? I thought we all had a bye. I thought we were all taking a break this past week. Am I misinformed?
Negative. You spent too much time on your fantasy island.
The
Oh,
Eagles.
you're so
Oh.
right. I deserve
But,
it. I deserve it. I'll take it.
So, Lil Mac 03, one of my brothers, won again with 136.78. Low score to win this week. But here's an update on the host standings. Will is still in first with 741.72. I am in second with 708.90. And Tommy pulling up the rear with 683.84.
Not even close.
So,
I am so
yeah.
far behind, guys.
Can't beat you in the picks, but at least we can beat you in DFS so far. That is it. We have got an exciting flavor of the week planned. We're going to be doing what we got wrong so far in 2021, and our palate cleanser is going to be a little what if talk, a little, recycling to the MCU. Please subscribe if this is your first time listening. Tell your friends. Still batting 1,000 with a couple more 5-star reviews that came in on iTunes. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate for that. Tune into our halftime show. It's me and Anthony. You want to hear Anthony, our producer? He is now the regular host with me on our halftime show. So if you've never gone to our halftime show, it's live. It's audio only. You can interact with us, chat with us, even get on stage and speak directly to us. Just download the halftime app on iTunes or Google Play. It is at Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Guys, any last words before we get on to the flavor of the week? No, okay, there we go. We said it all.
We're at a loss for words.
This crew at a loss for words. I guess after an hour and a half of main NFL episode, that's going to do that. So thanks again for listening. Really appreciate all of you, and make sure to stick around for the flavor of the week.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Pigskin Party Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate that effort. We'll catch you in the next Pigskin Party.